it should be no reason why a black person being in a social shared space should make you uncomfortable. And if it does enough to make you write something disgusting through text message or text your other family in a group chat, then maybe you should really get some therapy.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So today's video, as usual, my disclaimer, it is strictly for educational purposes. Please do not go searching out for the people that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comment, threat, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So I came across this video that went viral. Like, I'm wondering how I even missed it all this while, because it's been like a couple of weeks or thereabouts. It was made by a black woman who happens to be a travel vlogger, and this video was made by her when she was on a flight. She talked about the incident of sitting beside a ray to the cyst palm colored man, and she made several videos. So I'm just going to go right ahead and play her videos.
You know what? I wasn't going to say anything. But I decided I want you to feel as uncomfortable as I do. And I want you to know that I saw your text messages and I think you're disgusting.
What text message?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to repeat it because everybody doesn't need to know, but I want you to know that I know. I saw you and I think that you're disgusting. You don't have anything to say to that, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. And speaking of, yeah, you should. And speaking of airlines weeding people out, maybe if they raise prices, you know, maybe you wouldn't be able to afford to sit with your family. That way they don't have to sit next to black people. Okay? Yeah. No, yeah, you don't have to be sorry to me. You're sorry because I saw it. But I want you to feel as uncomfortable as I do sitting next to you.
Okay, I am.
You should be.
Yeah.
So now her original video, which is this particular one, has almost 20 million views, and I think it was even featured on the Shade Room. So that is how big this story got. So a lot of people were chipping in to say what they think. You know, a lot of people were zooming into the chat the man made to read what he was saying, to give their own 2 cents about it. And of course, some people actually came for her. They criticized her. So let me just go right ahead and play people's responses and stitches to her videos.
Sitting next to you.
Okay, I am.
You should be.
Now, in her caption, she says she was sitting next to this guy for a 4-hour flight from Puerto Rico to Atlanta. She said she happened to glance over and she saw the words "big black woman," so I continued reading. She said him and his family went on and on about the roles of being stuck next to black people and gay people on a flight. Then she stated in the text, "Then I see this man and he says he hopes the airlines continue to raise prices so these people can get weeded out." Now, mind you, he was in the middle seat, and she actually caught a glimpse of those text messages. Now, at the top, it looks like he's taking somebody by the name of Mommy, which I don't think that's his mother. I think it might be his wife. And then that person texts and said, "Atlanta, here we come." He replied back and says, "We are still at the gateway." And then he says, "Hopefully the airlines will continue to raise prices and weed these people out." And then he says, Ryan, who I'm assuming is another family member, is sitting next to a huge black woman. Now, in this group chat, Ryan says, "I changed my seats. I'm in the aisle now." That is crazy and kind of brazen to even be texting something like that in the year of Michael Jordan. And in the middle seat and next to a black person. But I want to hear from y'all. Have you ever experienced anything like this on a flight? Now, I know we always read over people's text messages, but this is something else.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I decided.
You can honestly go back and watch all 3 videos if you need to. When I say I am so happy that she said something, like, I got out of my bed cheering, because, sir, who the do you think you are? It's the audacity for me. It's the unmitigated gall for me. Talking about he hope airlines continue to raise the prices so some of us can't travel. But you must not know. Black people were doing nothing on that plane but existing. And here come people hating. I'm so glad she said something. So glad she said something. Bravo, sis. Bravo.
I think you're disgusting.
What text?
So basically, this black woman was sitting next to a guy on a flight, and he sent some text messages that she didn't like. The message said that she's a big black woman, which are just descriptors and aren't racist. Like, if somebody's big, black, and a woman, then calling them a big black woman would make sense, right? But apparently he says some derogatory stuff about black people and whatever, and then she just felt so disgusted. Like, they're literally text messages. Who gives a shit? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. And I don't understand why people feel the need to get so upset over words that don't affect you at all. Like, oh, you start talking bad about black people. Who gives a shit? You're on a flight. You're never going to see them again. All right? That's over. But I guess people are just too damn sensitive nowadays.
Anything, but I decided.
I am so embarrassed of white people. Systemic racism is active, rampant, and disgusting in this country. And to this woman, I am so sorry that you had to see that and experience that. And for everything else that you've experienced in your life and generational trauma that has undoubtedly occurred. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here steeped in white privilege just because of the stupid, dumb luck of being born with white skin. White people do better. Watch this video, think of things that you've done in your life that maybe you didn't think were racist, but absolutely were, and feel that shame. You need to feel that shame so that you can change and move forward in a different way. And ma'am, I can't change the whole world. I want more people to see your video. I want it to touch people. But I want you to know that I see you and that I'm sorry. And I'm proud of you for using your voice, for seeing that and saying something, for making him uncomfortable.
Go back and watch that video. Like, literally, this man was being racist next to her, and she had sat on that long ass flight next to him with her mouth closed, and she finally built up enough courage to say something. And you know what? As someone that travels all the time, especially in first class, because I always get stopped by flight attendants thinking that I'm not in first class and treated differently. I'm glad that she spoke up, and we have to start speaking up more when we see racist things happen on flights, and we have to treat it just the way she did it, in a kind way, because you know sometimes I can go all the way left, and that's why I don't, and I don't want to be put on a no flight list. But we have to start speaking up because people are just being blatant racist, and it don't make no sense.
I think we can all agree that none of the isms are ever okay, that it's never okay to justify someone disliking someone else based on something that they cannot control. That being said, I think that a lot of us really need to come to grips with what we allow to bother us. We need to do better in terms of like our emotional IQs. And what I mean by that is that everything that offends you does not have to be addressed. And I want to be very clear. If somebody is saying things, to you that you find offensive or harmful, by all means stand up for yourself. But somebody sitting next to you texting somebody, you shouldn't have been in their phone in the first place.
Sit with your family.
I keep telling y'all this here out that the biggest lie the devil ever convinced y'all to believe is that a lot of black people are poor. A lot of the black people were poor. A lot of black people come from poverty situations. But a lot of us have gotten the education, have gotten the certifications. We are doing really good in life. If you went into the projects and went inside some of those apartments, your mind would be blown. Lord forbid, just regular black people houses. So if they start raising prices, we could be the ones affected. And not because of food stamps and welfare, but because we got it.
You shouldn't.
Can you imagine a world in which more of us did this way more frequently, which is we refused to do the emotional labor for our oppressors and actually forced them to confront the situation they have themselves created and how awkward it is and how awful it is, and actually force them to do the emotional labor of their own BS. This woman is on a plane, and the guy next to her, a white man, has been texting racist, dehumanizing things about her to his family. And instead of just silently bearing the insanity of racism in this situation, she refuses to do that emotional labor of silencing her own humanity, and she forces him to contend with what he has said. She forces him to do the emotional labor. Can you imagine what would happen if more of us did that?
I decided.
So this beautiful woman was taking a trip, and she was sitting next to a white man. Man, I use that word loosely. And he pulls out his phone and starts texting someone, probably his Queen Karen, Tammy from the trailer park, probably Donna from the small town bar, whatever. But she caught this man talking about her in a disgusting, racist way. And she was so uncomfortable. She turned around and said, I'm not gonna sit here and be uncomfortable by myself. I'm gonna let him know I seen what he said. And she did. And Talia, you made him uncomfortable, and I love that. And I love you.
A lot of people are empathetic towards her and feeling like she did right by herself for actually speaking up and making the man uncomfortable, and they also commend her for not showing his face, because her intention is not to put the man on blast but to call out his rape to the cis behavior, right? And she stated that the purpose of her making that video was to make him feel uncomfortable.
I really don't have a whole lot more to say about this video, but I will clear up a few things. So first of all, yes, I know I could have minded my own business. I chose not to, and I said that when I made the post. I also asked what y'all would have done if you wouldn't have made the same choice. Thank you for sharing. That's what I decided to do because that's me. For those of y'all that express your words of support and just love and gratitude, thank you. Like, I love y'all. The next thing, the text messages that I posted online are not the first messages that I saw. I watched him text ridiculous things about black and gay people for several minutes before I decided to start recording. So yes, he said big black women, but that's not the first time he said it. And I'm not the big black woman he's referring to. I'm one of the other black people that he was referring to in his previous text. The first messages also included those terms because he was going on a rant. Okay, number 3, I was not looking at this man's messages on purpose. He was in the middle seat, I'm at the window, he sat down after me. So when he settled in, he's adjusting a whole bunch, and so that's what's making me even look down in his direction in the first place. So no, I wasn't in his phone, but yes, once I saw some crazy stuff, I kept reading. I also want to point out, I didn't initially take these videos to post online. I was in the process of texting my sibling group like, I need one of y'all to talk me down because I feel like I'm about to lose my mind. So the videos were for them. Which brings me to my next thing. For the people that are saying, oh, she's just doing this for attention, or she's just doing this for clout. If that was the case, then y'all would have seen his face. Either way, this was my travel experience, and I'm going to post about it whether it's good or bad. For those of y'all that are new, welcome to my page. I'm Taylor. I post about travel tips, destinations, hidden gems, and I highlight local businesses and things to do.
When I watched that video, I remembered a particular video that I came across that was made by an African man who was calling out a particular airline for basically allowing rape to the season, because his wife and their child were on the plane with his mother-in-law. So because the mother-in-law was going to help with the baby, and then a palm-colored woman came and took the seat that was meant for the mother-in-law. And when this man's wife was trying to explain to the air hostess that, oh, this seat is meant for my mother-in-law is supposed to sit beside me so she can help me with the baby, the palm-colored woman refused to move. She refused to budge. After everything said and done, it became an issue of the black woman being asked to leave the airplane if she couldn't allow the palm-colored woman sit in her mother's spot. So basically, they sided the palm-colored woman, who was obviously wrong and was supposed to actually leave that seat because that was not supposed to be her seat. Now, why am I saying this? It is because it is obvious that a lot of this race to the cis people who have these biases against black people who feel entitled do things like this. They do things like this, and sometimes they try to even trigger you, and before you know it, when they get the reaction that they want, you as a black person who is defending yourself, who is probably in the right, get some kind of repercussions. You might get sent out of the flight. You might actually even be put on a no-flight list or whatever. So there are a lot of injustices that are racially motivated that happens. That is why it is very important that this woman did what she did. Because, I mean, I feel like, how bad is it? You cannot stand being seated next to a black person, even though she paid to be there just as much as you did. So what is right about that? So I actually like the fact that she spoke up. Not everybody will speak up in that situation. Some people think she's overreacting. You don't have to be so sensitive. You don't have to address every single thing. But when we let things like that go, that is how it keeps going. That is how it continues. That is how they're going to do it to the next black person. And it comes full circle. So the fact that she stood up for herself and she did it very gracefully, very calmly, I commend her for that. Then there's also the question of, oh, why was she staring at his phone?
Sorry guys, this part is just going to be a little voiceover. So when it came to people that were criticizing her for staring at his phone and looking at his text messages, first of all, when you're in that close proximity, let's not even lie, a lot of us would have somehow just glanced even without the intention. So I think it was one of those situations where she glanced, and then when she saw what he was talking about, she became curious. Now, that doesn't make it right, but we all know that this definitely happens, right? Then if you're going to be the kind of person that is going to be texting something nasty, something that you cannot defend with your full chest about the person sitting right next to you in such close proximity, you might as well have a screen guard that doesn't allow the person next to you read that nasty thing that you're typing. Or you should have at least had decency to hold the phone in such a way that it would have been faced away from the person that you decided to trash talk in your text message, right?
Another thing that even struck me is when he said they need to raise the prices of this flight so that these people will no longer be able to afford, like I don't even have anything to say at this point. I don't have, he cannot stand the fact that black people are able to afford to take flights. Those are the people that don't think black people deserve anything good, or that black people have the wealth to be able to afford a certain standard of life. Those are the kind of people. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think. Do you think she was right for confronting him? If you're in that situation, would you have spoken up, or would you have just let it be, especially because it would have been that you were picking at his phone and his chat when you were not supposed to? What do you guys think about how she handled it as well? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be waiting to read your comments. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.